You're listening to a Comics XF podcast.
I am the knight. I am Matt Laswitz, and welcome to this week's episode of Bat Chat with Matt and Will, a Batman ranking podcast, where each week my co-host Will Nevin and I dig into 3 Batman stories, discuss them, and rank them on the big board, thus creating a giant list of Batman stories from best to worst. Will, how's it going tonight?
Matt, I am contractually prevented from moving my right of reorganization for another week. I'm exercising it tonight. On to the acknowledgments.
Okay. We'd like to thank our Patreon backers, Dan Grote, Josh Wheel, Mrs. Abigail Hartbaum, Asma Fangirl, Tony Thornley,
Go Aggies.
Sam Hopper,
Go to bed, Sam.
John Wickham,
That asshole.
Robert Secundus,
Bobby $2. Step away from the discourse.
Tim Rooney, Giorgio Reggioli, David Wheel,
World's greatest gray belt.
Alexander Wheel, Matt McThorne,
McThorny.
Dan Offer,
Barely newer.
Nate Randell, Daniel Mosley, Ross Holmes,
Mr. Randomass.
Will Crisp,
Me compadre.
Carlos Cordova, Jordan Jennings, and Charlie Etheridge Nunn for their support. This show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music /Audible, YouTube Music, Podbean, and on comicsxf.com, where new episodes drop every Thursday. You can find me on Blue Sky, where I talk about comics and other random things, and Letterboxd, where I review all the movies I watch, both at MattLaz1013.
And you can find me and my shambling corpse at Will Nevin on Twitter. I'm going to do the rest of this show, and then I'm going to go to bed. Good night, Huntsville.
And be sure to visit ComicsXF at comicsxf.com or ComicsXF on Blue Sky for our weekly Friday Bat Chat roundup of new Bat books. For my other show, the ComicsXF Interview Podcast, where my longtime best friend Dan Grote and I interview comics creators, retailers, publishers, journalists, and other related tradespeople, as well as all the other stuff Will and I are writing. And I will save the sign-off line for the very end so people know when we're done.
See, wasn't that much more fresh?
It was. There's a lot more energy to it. I was not like, oh God, I need to sleep by that point.
Now let's talk about comics.
Yes. We just going right into the comics?
Right into the comics.
Okay. So, this week, if the production gods smile upon us, Deadpool Batman, the first Marvel DC crossover in many years, will be released. So we are reading 3 more Marvel DC crossovers to get ready for that.
Deadpool Batman as brought to you by Grant Morrison.
No. Deadpool Batman as brought to you by Zeb Wells. Batman Deadpool by Grant Morrison doesn't come out until November.
Ah.
Remember, Deadpool Batman, that's the Marvel one.
That's right.
Listen, no offense to Zeb Wells. Zeb Wells has written many very serviceable comics and some good comics. But when the rest of these creative teams, he's teamed with Greg Capullo, and then you've got Grant Morrison and Dan Mora. It seems like one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah. But hey,
3 superstars.
job's a job.
Yeah. Oh, you're not turning this down. But it's 3 superstars and Zeb Wells. They couldn't have convinced Hickman to write this thing?
Well, he's still cashing all that money from Aliens versus Avengers.
Yeah, I guess. And again, dump truck full of money. Dump truck full of money. But our first story of the night is Batman versus the Incredible Hulk, the Monster and the Madman. This is DC Super Special, Volume 1, number 27. The writer is Len Wein, with pencils by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, inks by Dick Giordano, colors by Glynis Oliver, letters by John Costanza, and edited by Dick Giordano, Dave Manek, Al Milgram, and Jim Shooter. The cover date is September of 1981. Bruce Banner's quest for a cure to his transformation into the Hulk have brought him to Gotham City and Wayne Research. But Banner's cure won't be easy to come by, as the Joker is seeking something from Wayne Research as well. something to help a being who has promised Joker power. Batman is caught between the monster and the madman and must save not just Gotham, but reality itself. Can I say, Wayne research is not easy to say. It keeps almost coming out Rain research, which is not right. And I don't
No,
know
that is not
why,
right.
but I just was having a real hard time saying that multiple times. It's one of those things that when you've said it a couple times, it stops having any meaning. So, a couple of just interesting little notes on this. This is the final issue of DC Special Series, which was a series of one shots and reprints that were even different formats from issue to issue, like different sizes and things. It was a strange experiment. This book was tabloid size. So one of those oversized, bigger than a comic, bigger than a magazine, like 13 by 10 or something, like really big. So if there was any easy and legitimate way to read this other than spending a fortune online or doing things that we do not say people should do, it would be fascinating to see how it looked in a well restored digital version.
Here's the thing with doing the things that we would not encourage anybody to do. It always comes at a cost. Digital providers, be it Comixology or any of the other startups that are trying to get off the ground, they at least care about the online reader experience. They want to provide a service. These pirate sites have nothing but contempt for the people who try to read books because it's just a way to shovel money into their coffers. Every single pop-up ad, every single window that pops open. I will say I had a much easier time reading this on my tablet than I did my PC. I think. I don't know. It was unpleasurable experience all the way around.
This
And I
one,
really hate it. I wish, I know they re-released an omnibus at some point. Of course, not digitally. And nobody's gonna read an omnibus. But I think all of these things, especially this, in terms of the artifact, the special nature of all of these books, and especially this one, given it's one of Lin Wayne's books, this should be available to people, and this is not.
this one actually is available in a fairly reputable space on the Internet Archive.
Huh.
Yeah, none of the others, but this one, there were scans of it up on Internet Archive. However, the reading experience was terrible because the different pages were some of them were scanned at different sizes, so I had to keep resizing the
No.
because it was a vertical scroll. It wasn't even different pages swiping. So I had to be like, okay, and now I have to expand out, and now I have to shrink, expand out, and shrink. So no pop-up ads. This is a non-profit, but it was not a pleasurable reading experience.
I even got pornographic ads. And this is not a computer where I had done pornographic things, so you can't blame my cookies. But that would be very inappropriate if I was reading them in the office, which I was reading them in the office.
I tend to read these kind of things that I have to read in ways that I do not recommend for others on my Chromebook because if, God forbid, anything goes wonky, I can just wipe to factory settings and restart, no problem.
Just throw it in the trash and get another one from the vending machine.
Pretty much. The comic itself, which, we probably should be talking about. So this is the third ever Marvel DC crossover after I can't remember if Spider-Man Superman or Superman Spider-Man came first, but it was two, one from each company, Superman Spider-Man crossovers, and then this. This is not including the co-published Wizard of Oz adaptation. I don't know why it took Marvel and DC together to do a movie adaptation of The Wizard of Oz, but that is technically the first Marvel DC crossover.
I have learned a thing.
Yeah, but this is the third crossover of characters between the two companies. And
And until very recently, they both owned the trademark on superheroes.
yes, they did. Now, this is interesting to think about that these are the two characters that each company had that at this point in time had successful television series, at least in that relatively recent period. I mean, Superman had the George Reeves show back in the 50s, 40s, but 81, 66 is not that far removed.
And that
And
sumbitch has been in reruns.
right. And The Incredible Hulk was in its final or next to the last season at this point. So there is a certain publishing logic to these being the two characters who teamed up, despite them not being the most logical characters to actually confront each other. In the same way that Superman and Spider-Man were the two flagship characters of their companies, so they worked together in that logic. And Ween had written both of these characters before. Ween had done a good run on the Incredible Hulk where he, introduced Wolverine and was I'm trying to think. He did not a ton of Batman, but he had definitely done some Batman by this point. A handful of issues, maybe a year and a half, 2 years of Batman at this point that had wrapped up shortly before in like 80. So we had a character with a connection to both of these characters as well that way. But it's a weird choice of villain here. Not the Joker. The Joker makes sense. But the Shaper of Worlds is not exactly, nor at this point was exactly, an A-list Hulk villain.
Who would be the A-list Hulk villains? Various and sundry other Hulks?
Various and sundry gamma monsters. We saw two of them in the scene where Batman and the Hulk are fighting conjured versions of their nemesis. The Leader and the Abomination are the two major Hulk villains. The Abomination is just, what if the Hulk had kind of lizard skin? If this had come out a few years later, you could have done Abomination Killer Croc. I mean, they're two lizard dudes.
That'd be fun.
And the leader is Banner is puny Banner who's exposed to radiation and turns into a big buff monster. The leader is what if dumb janitor is exposed to gamma junk and becomes a super genius. So it's the Superman Lex Luthor brains versus brawn thing. And he's the villain. He's the Hulk's like arch of arch nemesis. He's the one that always seems to come down to, oh, there's a mysterious villain fighting the Hulk, leading a bunch of villains. Guess what? It's the leader. It's always the fucking leader.
Shock.
Exactly. But instead of the leader, we have the Shaper of Worlds, who I am fairly certain he was not a Len Wein creation, but I wouldn't be surprised if Wein used him during his Hulk run. But he's just he's like a Star Trek villain. One of the kind of things that they stumble across. There's a whole lot of weird Marvel continuity to explain the origins of the Shaper of Worlds. But basically, he's like, oh, he can alter reality. It's like you're running across any number of weird energy beings that Kirk and crew would run into every 2 weeks on TOS. But here he's crashed on Earth, and he and the Joker are working together. And it's fine?
Yeah? Question mark?
This isn't a bad story. I mean, Len Wein and Garcia Lopez are both very talented creators. They are the same creative team who did Lost episode, based on the Ellison script, but the actual production of the comic is Wein and Garcia Lopez. But I don't feel like we got a lot of Batman in this. Batman has no arc here.
No, and the Hulk stuff wasn't particularly riveting. And you hit a lot of the same notes over and over again.
Yeah, Batman and the Hulk have multiple fights that play out pretty much the same way. And the final few pages where the Joker gets godlike powers is done better in the late 90s, early aughts in the Emperor Joker storyline over in the Superman titles. Something we will cover at some point. But here it's all very vague. There's not a lot to grasp onto. It felt like we were trying to do this very iconic story where Batman is fighting the Joker, Bruce Banner is haunted by the Hulk and wants to find a cure. It's the two most basic stories of each of these characters put together in a way that doesn't really give us much insight into either character.
No, because you said there was no, I think, arc for Hulk or Batman, and I would agree that there is no real arc for either of the characters. It's just like they come into the story, they exist, they have no growth, and then they depart.
And it ends like an episode of the Hulk TV show with Banner sadly walking away. I could hear the Banner sadly walking away music in my head as Banner walks away from Gotham. These were produced in a time where these needed to be very simple stories. I mean, Jim Shooter is the executive editor of Marvel at this point. This is the guy who coined the every comic is somebody's first concept. So I feel like these needed to be these basic stories on that editorial dictum.
And the explainer page. You obviously, well, I don't say obviously, but going to your point, every comic is somebody's first. This might have been somebody's first Batman story, might have been somebody's first Hulk story, but the showing each character's creation, that was kind of neat. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and it was a nice page. It looked really nice.
Yeah,
The parallels, the black and white, it looked really cool.
not so much in this book, but some really nice design work tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be talking about that as we go forward. But the art is really good. Garcia Lopez, there's a reason why DC used Garcia Lopez as the guy who did the style guide for DC and for DC licensing for multiple decades. He has one of the cleanest, clearest styles. And I won't say there aren't good moments in this book. I think there's a bit at the beginning. This might be one of the earlier examples of if you're working for the Joker, just keep your mouth shut.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't be dumb, because he gonna kill you and kick your corpse into the drink.
Yeah, don't suggest that he's lost it or he's making a mistake. Just
And
keep him entertained, but don't keep him too entertained.
don't think you're funnier than the Joker.
No.
I liked Alfred offering Banner calming tea.
Alfred is like the babysitter.
hmm And the perfect gentleman's gentleman. He's just, yes, would you like some tea, sir? Not, please drink this tea before you turn into a raging green gamma monster, please.
Please. I haven't read a lot of Hulk books. I read probably the first half of Al Ewing's Hulk book. Feels like Gamma just gets waved at a lot of things.
Yes. Yes. Often, if you need a plot device to get Bruce Banner involved in a story, insert random gamma device here. Say, oh, this lab is working on some sort of gamma thing, and Bruce Banner just pops up.
Mm-hmm.
Especially dumb when Banner is being hunted by various government organizations. Why don't they just stake out everywhere gamma is being used? Because he's going to show up eventually. And here we get, again, it's very hand wavy. It's like, oh, we're making this gamma gun that can cure diseases. How? Again, 1981, we're not at a point where these kind of stories need a ton of explanation, but a lot of this felt very fait accompli.
And if Banner is the Gamma expert, how does he not know how to construct this gun?
You got me. And it feels like a contrivance that it's the Hulk's gamma energy is the thing that can cure the Shaper of Worlds of his ability the loss of his ability to get into people's dreams. Just very convenient that that happens to be happening here.
Maybe Gamma is like the Force.
It binds us. It draws us together.
Gives us power to steal dreams.
Yeah. Listen, I didn't feel like I wasted my time reading this story. I think we've been a little hard on it, but it's very much just there. And it shows why a Batman Incredible Hulk crossover doesn't work as well. There are characters that don't work in the same milieu. It's why the next two are better because those are Batman teaming up with characters that logically exist in a similar sphere as Batman.
Oh, one of the next stories we're gonna read, I think, is fucking perfect. Like, I'm just like, this is it. This is how you do it. This was my jam. This is perfect. And I think it's because the two characters, they're just like, they just work together. This is by no means bad. I think they overtook the plumbing a little bit, right? Like, what if they just call in Batman to stop the Hulk? That would have been a mighty fine story without all of this other shaper and stuff.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else to add here.
Oh, that means it's time. But Batman versus the Incredible Hulk, the Monster, and the Madman on the big board.
Okay, we are at 609 stories in the big board.
God damn.
Number one is Post-Crisis Origin of Batman, Batman Year One.
Coming into sexy 69 is Batman Annual number 14, Eye of the Beholder.
At 200 is 25 Big Ones, Harley Quinn Volume 2, number 25, where Harley finally gives the Joker the old heave-ho for good.
Get the fuck out of here.
At 400 is Land Where Our Fathers Died, the Batman and the Outsiders annual from 1984. Did you know that it was from 1984? 'Cause it was
Did
from
you know it's from
1984.
1984? Coming in real high, not nearly as close to the bottom as it once was. Catwoman Volume 1, numbers 1 to 14. And we won't talk about how that was the
Four.
third
One to
take.
four.
Damn it. All right, we're leaving it in. Leaving it in.
Okay. And all the way at the bottom at 609, it's Three Jokers.
Jesus Christ, what a turd. Probably the lowest story of the night,
I
but
think
still not
so.
bad.
No, we're above the halfway point. So I said 200 is 25 Big Ones. That's above this. I mean, something like Batman 66 meets the Green Hornet at 201 feels like a better crossover between two different properties. There's more oomph to that, more character beats versus here where it's just like this is Batman. Batman is Bruce Wayne. This is the Hulk. The Hulk is Bruce Banner. Do you know how many times in my notes I started writing Bruce and was like, I can't do that on this one?
All right, have 279. Batman 66 meets Steed and Mrs. Peel.
I think better art here and more historically significant.
I
So
would
I
agree with that.
so I think we're in between the two.
Batman Grendel 262.
Batman Grendel might have the opposite problem to this. This is too basic. That is too deeply involved in the Grendel stuff.
So
So,
maybe in the same neighborhood though.
yes, I think so. I like Batman Grendel more, but I'm a big Grendel head. Okay, since it's another Joker story, not above Clash of Symbols at 271.
How about just under Secret of the Waiting Graves, new 267?
Okay, I was saying below 271, but I'm good with that.
Oh. Yes, that would make, in my head, I interpret that as above Clash of
Ah,
Symbols.
no, I was saying below Clash of Symbols, but I think the historical Clash of Symbols, as much as I love it, is historically significant only to my heart. Putting this below Secret of the Waiting Graves, the first Adams O'Neill story, actually makes a lot of sense, as they are two historically significant stories that haven't, not that they haven't aged well, that's not the right word, but are more significant for what they are than the story they're telling.
New 267 it is.
Yep. Our second story of the night is Batman Captain America. This is a one shot written, drawn, and lettered by John Byrne, with colors by Patricia Mulvihill, and no editor is credited. The cover date is February of 1997. In the waning days of World War II, the Red Skull has secretly hired the Joker to steal the results of the Gotham Project. To stop their greatest foe, two titans of justice must join forces before Washington, D.C. is destroyed: Batman and Captain America. We will start out with a problematic creator watch. John Byrne has said various misogynist and just sort of crackpot things over the years, and more so as time has progressed. So, not the greatest dude.
Here's an example. As talking about transgender people, 2015, how will we feel about all those people who, instead of actually helping them, we encourage in a program of self-mutilation?
Or Byrne described immigrants with excessive attachment to their nations of origin as, quote, ungrateful little shits, unquote.
Yeah, nice dude.
Yeah, very pleasant.
It's unfortunate that this book is so good.
Yes, this might be my favorite Byrne comic, because this is just a ton of fun.
I talk to my students a lot, especially in the opinion writing class I teach. Sometimes you have to get it right at the idea stage. Because if it's the wrong idea, or if you don't have the right idea on the page, you can take it all the way out to execution, and you can get all the way out to the end, and it'd be okay. But if you had just done something differently at the idea stage, it could have been so much better. This idea is perfect. A World War II story. It is before Cap goes in the ice. It's primo Red Skull Nazi period piece. It's just everything clicks in this story. Everything.
It works so much better than it would have been set in the modern era.
Oh, 100%.
You get the better parallels with Batman and Robin and Cap and Bucky. Joker and Red Skull play off each other in a hilarious manner. It's why the I have the exact line, because it is one of these things that has been memed to pieces over the years, with the Joker's reaction to finding out he's working for the Red Skull. Thought I wrote down the exact quote, but I didn't. But
It's something very close to the effect of, I may be a criminal lunatic, but I'm an American criminal lunatic.
I think that is the exact phrasing. I couldn't remember criminal lunatic. I was like psychotic criminal, something like that. But yeah, which is almost a direct lift from The Rocketeer, which had come out a couple of years before that, where Paul Sorvino's mobster reacts the same way when it turns out that he's been working with Timothy Dalton, who's a Nazi. So I'm pretty sure Byrne lifted that, but it's such a fun lift, and it's especially fun coming out of the Joker, that I'm okay with it. The basic underpinning of the story here is logical. There's a lot of times with these crossovers where they have to find some way to bend over backwards to get these characters into the same space. But here, why Cap has to be around Batman, around Bruce Wayne, why he's in Gotham, makes perfect sense. The fact that the Manhattan Project is the Gotham Project is a weird little story nugget, and I am not terribly familiar with the details of the Manhattan Project, but I don't think they ever actually had the bomb in Manhattan.
No, but Robert Oppenheimer makes the list of historical figures that have appeared on the show.
Yes. Have you ever read Jonathan Hickman's The Manhattan Projects?
No, I have not.
Oh, it's so good. It sadly never really got an ending, which sucked.
As so many Image books never got.
But the basic idea that all of the scientists from the Manhattan Project were like megalomaniacal mad scientists, and the bomb was just the cover for bigger, crazier mad science projects, interplanetary exploration and alien contact and all these other things. Oppenheimer is actually his twin brother who killed J. Robert Oppenheimer and replaced him. Albert Einstein is Albrecht Einstein, an alternate reality Einstein who replaced his Earth Prime version. Enrico Fermi, I think, is either an alien or radiation monster, and one of the other guys is the other one. And Robert Feynman is a complete sociopath narcissist.
Amazing.
And when they team up with the Soviets later in the book, when it comes to aliens, one of the members of the Soviet team involved is Laika. You know, the dog that was launched into space that died. Only in this reality, he didn't die, but instead cosmic radiation granted him genius level intellect.
How high do you have to get to write all that?
Excuse me, her. Laika was a girl. Proper pronouns. Important.
Yes, that's important.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was.
Yeah, John Byrne, that's important.
Yes, indeed. But it's just a completely delightfully kooky comic, and I would love to see Hickman come back to it at some point in the future. But this story, yes. I want to call out early on, there's a really subtle additional DC Marvel crossover in here, in that when Cap is fighting on the Western Front at the beginning of the book, he's working with Sergeant Rock and Easy Company, not Fury and the
Ah,
Commandos. So it's the DC answer to Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos who Cap is working with. Very subtle. You don't need to know it to see what's going on, but it's fun if you pick up the little reference there.
very nice. Yeah. So much of this book was just fun. The story had a flow to it. As soon as you see, Fat Man get mentioned, if you have any kind of passing knowledge of World War II history, it creates this sense of dread, right? Because there's no other mention of the bomb before you get to, the first dialogue appearance of Fat Man. And so
Fat Boy.
Fat
They
Boy,
right because Gotham
Fat Boy, Little
Project, but
Man.
yep, they invert. It's an inversion.
And that was just clever. I really like that. And the idea that Wayne might be working with whoever is trying to sabotage the project, and the government is suspicious of him, so they send in, Rogers to be his quote bodyguard. And that, of course, leads to Bruce Wayne and Steve Rogers fighting. And then there's that perfect page with that perfect layout where they realize, oh, he's Captain America. I'm Batman. Oh, we should stop this fighting.
We don't get a lot of the tropier fighting that would have continued in other stories. Like, oh wait, no, I get it. All right, time to team up. And we get the sidekick swap at one point, which works really well. Bucky's kind of a shit.
Yeah,
He's an arrogant little bastard here. Oh yeah, I knew I was better than Robin. Robin's just doing Robin things and not even really caring that Bucky is being kind of condescending the whole time.
seems like he should have gotten a backhand at some point, but it's fine.
Yeah, this is back before Ed Brubaker made Bucky scary. This is when Bucky was just, let's be fair, second rate Robin. I guess you got to kind of give Bucky a chip on his shoulder because nobody ever thought Bucky was better than Robin.
No.
God, I hate complimenting Byrne. I mean, it's Chuck Dixon vibes all over again. In the just like I like the way he writes Joker here. Joker is impatient and kind of goofy. this isn't Chaos Agent Joker either. A modern Joker would want to blow up the city just to blow up the city. Here, he wants to blackmail the city for $1 million.
Million
$1 million.
dollars.
It's Red Skull who is doing this for ideological reasons. I also am not familiar with Golden Age Captain America stuff, but I was a little confused when Batman and Bucky are captured by Red Skull, and you've got a whole bunch of goons, and then some leggy Nazi Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS who has like two lines, doesn't do anything, and is just there. I felt like
Yeah.
I felt like that must be a reference to some Golden Age Captain America stuff, like Red Skull had a mall, but she didn't really do anything. She was just kind of there. I'm not going to fault it because I feel like it was a gap in my knowledge, but Skull could have at least addressed her by name so I could have looked up who the character was. Of course, again, 1997, nascent days of the internet. Couldn't just Google Red Skull's Golden Age female hench because it's not Mother Knight who is his modern female counterpart. She was not created until much later. I'm surprised we didn't get Nick Fury in here somewhere since we did get Sergeant Rock to, further the parallels. But maybe that was just a case of we don't need to add another character to the book, which I'll take that. We all know the Elseworlds conundrum of, hey, how many characters can we really fit in here? And let's add 5 beyond that number.
Yeah. I think tonight was a very judicious use of other characters.
Yeah, there was nothing in here. None of these stories felt like we jammed in a ton of excess. I liked the epilogue here. That those last couple pages were fun. And I mean, they're a reference to Golden Age imaginary stories. Dick Grayson as Batman with Bruce Wayne Jr. as Robin were a recurring imaginary story back in the day.
And it did sort of tie it in very nicely to kind of an Earth 2 ethos of this could belong in a broader continuity of imaginary stories.
And if we ever get around to it, Byrne did a series of miniseries called Superman and Batman Generations. And that felt very of a piece with those stories.
This is not the first time that Generations has come up on this show.
No, I think you stumbled across it and mentioned it at one point, and I think I was like, the first one's good, and it's definite diminishing returns as you get to the end by volume 3. But the first volume I remember being kind of cool. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, there's just a lot of fun moments here. I like Joker and Red Skull wrestling on top of the bomb. Not even a complaint, but it kind of would have been fun for Joker to Slim Pickens that bomb down.
Absolutely. And I like how Cap had, a little serious beat after that. It's like, welcome to a new terrible age.
And when Batman is on the radio with Robin, well, at least we've seen the last of the Joker and the Red Skull. And Cap looks at him, do you really think that? No, but I can hope.
Well, when we talked about the epilogue, I was half expecting somebody else to come out of the ice, whether it was going to be Joker or Red Skull, and that would have been an interesting twist.
Oh, that would have been fun. If they found Red Skull as opposed to Cap, that would have been definitely an unexpected twist. But yeah, I think we're good on this.
Oh, that means it's time. But Batman, Captain America on the big board.
This is Story of the Night.
Yes. You might think I'm crazy, but I'm going to give you a ceiling.
Okay.
This is a little crazy. But this is one of the crossovers I've had the most fun with. Did I say ceiling? I meant floor.
Okay.
I ain't got my fastball tonight. My floor is Batman versus Predator at 127.
Okay, I was looking in that general area, actually. My first instinct was maybe a tad lower, but not by much. Because my first comp was Where Were You the Night Batman was killed at 136. One of the more northerly trifles. I can accept Batman versus Predator as the floor.
I don't have to go much higher than
I
that.
was going to say, I don't think I would put it above 124, my beginning and my probable end. The introduction of modern Leslie Tompkins and just a really nice look at Bruce and their relationship and Bruce's upbringing. So that's a real narrow range.
New 125.
Yeah, I'm good with that. New 125. I feel better about it if, Byrne wasn't awful,
I know.
sometimes quality will out. We have Chuck Dixon stuff up that high too. Oof.
But hey, it's not like he's going to get a dime for you going to pirate the book.
Very true.
And you're not hurting anybody else on the creative team because he did everything.
Uh,
So you can steal this book with impunity.
and our final story of the night is New Age Dawning. This is Batman's Spider-Man. The writer is J.M. DeMatteis, with pencils by Graham Nolan, inks by Carl Kiesel, colors by Gloria Vasquez, letters by John Costanza. No editor is credited, with a cover date of October of 1997. Ra's al Ghul is preparing his next plan to destroy society and remake it in his image. And this time he has decided to find an ally, Wilson Fisk, New York's kingpin of crime. With the promise of a cure to his wife's seemingly incurable illness, Fisk has agreed, but standing between them and world domination are the two villains' nemeses, Batman and Spider-Man. Problematic Creator Watch. Graham Nolan, regular artistic collaborator with Chuck Dixon, has espoused similar right-wing beliefs and has been tied to some Comicsgate projects. So there you
Nice
go.
guy.
So this is the DC half of the Batman and Spider-Man crossovers. We previously covered Spider-Man Batman, so this is Batman Spider-Man from DC. Both written by J.M. DeMatteis, who has worked at both companies, but art is by Graham Nolan, who at this point was almost exclusively a DC artist, in the same way that when Spider-Man Batman came out, Mark Bagley was almost exclusively a Marvel artist.
Now, these books would not have been traded together, correct?
I do not believe so.
Even though it would make sense to trade them together because they are a continuation of the same story.
They are,
Loosely.
yes, they're somewhat related. I mean, they reference the previous encounter, but you could read this one pretty easily without having read that last story.
God knows it feels like I didn't.
We have a fairly standard Ra's al Ghul plot here. We've seen Ra's basically do this kind of thing over and over again. I am going to decimate humanity and I am going to step forward and take over the world after I have caused all of this havoc. Only now he's working with the Kingpin.
Was Raish going to actually decimate the planet, though?
He was definitely going to decimate New York and then let chaos ensue and society break down. I don't know how much of society would have been decimated, but it definitely would have been ripe for the plucking.
It's just a ghost of a copy editor I used to work with. Decimating being reserved exclusively for reducing by 1/10.
I know. I have many times in my summaries removed the word decimating because I too am similarly pedantic, but every now and then it slips out.
Yeah, very standard race plot. You, I'm sure, have read more Kingpin stories than I have. How often does he have a wife or an ex-wife?
Always. Vanessa is a major part of the Kingpin lore. She's the only thing he cares about. She has often stopped him from doing shitty things and has often left him because she can't deal with her husband, who is so loving and tender to her, being a monster outside of their relationship.
Ah, so very important here. These are the
Yes.
things I do not know.
Someday, for some kind of bonus, we are going to cover a one issue Spider Man story from a book called Tangled Web. It was the rotating creative team Legends of the Dark Knight concept for Spider Man. And each issue was not necessarily about Spidey, but about the world around him. And issue 4 is called Severance Package. It's Greg Rucka and Eduardo Rousseau, and it's one of Kingpin's capos. Spider-Man screws up the caper that this guy had organized. He wasn't there. He gets the phone call late at night after seeing on the news that Spider-Man foiled the plan. He gets the late night call that Mr. Fisk needs to see him.
Oh, get the fuck out of town, buddy.
Well, that's kind of what it comes down to, is what do you do when you know you're walking to your death? It is a beautiful Greg Rucka story. And someday we will read it. We obviously can't put it on the big board because it just, no, it doesn't work. But I'd love to read it for some kind of bonus content at some point or another, because it would work just as well if it was the Penguin. Well, I don't know if it would, because Fisk actually is the honorable guy that, yeah, he's a criminal, but he's a criminal with a code of ethics internally that most Bat villains aren't.
Lawful evil, then?
Yes, very much so. Very lawful evil. Penguin will screw you over. Penguin will make you a promise and stab you in the back. Fisk will absolutely stick to the letter of his completely amoral, violent, and selfish code.
As the story twists and turns to its resolution, I sort of came to sort of two conclusions. First, way too many said twists and turns. And second, I'm not sure in Raish's plan why Kingpin was there.
Yeah,
Other than to like personally humiliate him for reasons.
it felt like there was that thought that Batman will never be my heir. So let me get this guy to be my right hand man. But I don't see that.
No.
I mean, he says something to that effect. I see similarities between us. But it's got a typical villain team up concept that Ray should realize Fisk is going to stab him in the back. Unless he's able to hold the cure over Fisk's head constantly, that, oh, Vanessa will need these doses forever. Eventually, when he gets what he wants, he's going to try to take over. So I don't know why Raish would trust him. He doesn't have either Talia's love, which is the thing that could theoretically get Batman to stay as his loyal right hand, or there's the period that we haven't read anything in, but we've approached at some points where he tries to get Bane to be his heir, and that a lot of that has to do with Bane's daddy issues. At least Bane isn't whiny about it.
Thank God.
If anybody has the right to have daddy issues, it's the guy who was imprisoned from birth because of his father's crimes. You have a right to hold a grudge forever about that.
Oh, but see, the only thing I really want is a pasta maker.
Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Batman and Spider-Man work together, maybe not as well as Batman and Captain America, but definitely better than Batman and the Hulk. The opposition of Batman's taciturn nature and Spider-Man's inability to shut up makes for a dynamic that at least works. And they're both street level characters. Yes, Spider-Man has, radioactive spider powers, but he's not the Hulk.
Yeah, they're not flying around.
And again, we get very little of the two of them fighting each other. It's a page or so of Bruce doing his, it would have made more sense if that was in Gotham because it really felt like a my city sort of thing. But he was in New York, which is not his city. Someday we'll need there are two, again, a Marvel and a DC, Daredevil, Batman, Batman, Daredevil. And they're the characters who logically really work together, even more so than Batman and Spider-Man.
I could see a Batman Green Arrow sort of what are you really doing to stop crime kind of discussion.
I do remember in Daredevil Batman, the Marvel one, I'm pretty sure it exists in that world like this, where the characters just exist on the same world. There isn't any, like, all of these tonight are those, because there's two types of intercompany crossovers. Oh, we're somehow on the same Earth despite knowing we're on different Earths, and the crossover Earth world. And this is that. This is a world where these characters just exist together. I'm pretty sure in Daredevil Batman, it's established that Harvey Dent and Matt Murdock went to law school together.
That's fun.
Yeah, because it's Two-Face is the Batman half of the villain in that one. It just makes sense that Harv and Murdoch would have gone to law school together.
All of the lawyers in comics went to law school together.
I don't entirely know why there's recurring narration in here about faith. And it felt like that was kind of half baked. It's not like it was central to the plot. Talk about Mary Jane's faith in Peter and Raish going and praying before an altar that has icons from various world religions, and the end where Fisk's quote faith is rewarded by Talia sending the cure to him that Raish didn't give him because Raish was just, oh, you betrayed me? Well, fuck you. That didn't feel like it went anywhere. It did in that there's a narrative circle back at the end, but there isn't anything in the characters that made me feel like that needed to be there.
No, not a lot of this book felt essential. Again, none of this stuff tonight was really bad, but Batman Captain America plot was so tight, and this just felt with all of its very convoluted twists just all over the place.
And this would have probably been better titled Ra's al Ghul Kingpin with Batman and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because it's really a Ra's and Kingpin story. It's really a Kingpin story. The dude gets the best of Ra's al Ghul by the end. There are very few characters in any universe who can say they got the best of Ra's al Ghul.
By teaming up with Batman and Spider-Man.
Yeah, and that is not an out of character twist because Raish was gonna destroy his kingdom for all intents and purposes. So he's like, "Yes, I'll work with you to find a cure for my wife." And Vanessa would be the only thing that would have gotten Kingpin to even consider this. But in the end, he's not going to side with Ra's al Ghul.
This has got to be one of the few race stories where the Lazarus pits would have been logical for Vanessa, and yet they don't appear.
Yeah. I'm surprised that there was no mention of the Lazarus pits. Because when you first show up and she's sick and dying, it's like, oh, he's got the pit.
Yeah.
The fact that we get the final twist, I gave her this disease, that just seems to be cancer. So really, hat on a hat, You could have just said, no, I'm not gonna dip her in the pit. And then Talia dips her in the pit secretly or something.
And then the whole not only is it man-made cancer, but there's no cure. Aha, but wait, there is a cure.
Yeah, I guess that's the final twist, I suppose.
That was tiresome.
Yeah. In the same way that I always feel bad that I enjoy a Chuck Dixon comic because he writes a really good, solid, actiony, adventure-y, even sometimes detective-y comic, I feel similarly bad about enjoying Graham Nolan's just really nice, really crisp and clean superhero art.
Yep.
The book looks really good.
Layouts are solid.
This one's fine. I think that's what it boils down to. And the other thing in here that left me kind of scratching my head, Raish has this doomsday preacher who's working for him, spreading the word of, the coming cataclysm and that one will come to, save us. And dude has the demon's head symbol tattooed on his hand, which is visible on camera. Strange.
Seems like that would be a nod.
Yeah, it would kind of give things up. Like, why doesn't Bruce just go and rough this guy up to get the information he needs about Raish? Eh, sometimes it's better to go and have a convoluted plot involving someone else.
Sometimes Batman has to dress up like a hobo.
Exactly. I think we're good on this.
That means it's time, but Batman, Spider-Man, New Age dawning on the big board.
Spider-Man Batman is at 415.
Oh, that seems real low. I don't know why we didn't like that. That was probably, I'm going to blame me, whatever it is.
This might be a victim of things going slotting in above it that are better. I also think that one, boy, I kind of want to go. I would love to go back and listen to what we had to say about that. That was a long time ago. That was episode 64.
Oh boy.
I am pretty sure I liked this one more.
Yes.
That one spent a lot of time with the Batman and Spider-Man have parallel tragedies. Oh, they both lost people they love. A lot of origin stuff there. So this one doesn't do that and just gets on with the story, which is preferable.
This one goes so squirrely at the end. I could be convinced to put it below Batman versus Incredible Hulk. Cause that story is basically nothing. Those silly twists make this one less than nothing.
Yeah, this is somewhere in the 300s. This is really in Trifle Town. Like somewhere in the 330s, 340s, somewhere in that area. For instance, I don't think this goes above Under the Red Hood, which is as low as it is because of how damn long it is. Okay, I'm actually going to give us a pretty tight range, actually.
Okay, what you got?
So under the Red Hood, so that's under 338. Above Draining at 348, that Zaz story that was never published except in a random Zaz trade. How about this? Let me give you a number.
Hit me.
344. Below those quirky Batmite stories where he's walking around with a drug addict who may or may not really be seeing Batmite, but above the Batman Adventures mayoral election story.
Works for me. And now it's time for Bat Chat Movie Chat.
I was gonna ask.
I saw Nobody 2 twice.
Twice?
Twice. Look, I fucking enjoyed it, right? I really enjoyed it. Now, the second time I went to see it for reasons. I was in St. Louis, and it was the very first time Matt's making a face, so that means we're gonna have to talk about this. It was the first time I was ever in convenient distance to an Alamo Draft House.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. I really enjoyed it. premier sound and projection, the loudest, crispest technology I've ever had. The service at the table was nice. The wait staff was quick and quiet and unobtrusive. I felt like I could have complained about the people talking around me, and it would have been taken care of. I liked the idea of bottomless popcorn and drinks, even though I didn't push my little buzzer for refills. Very fun movie-going experience. So I take it you had problems with Nobody Too.
I was disappointed. It wasn't terrible, but the John Wick formula movies, in my opinion, make it or break it on two things: the inventiveness of the fights and finding a way to make your almost always incredibly thin villains interesting and unique.
Oh, Sharon Stone, though, hammed it the fuck up.
She hammed it the fuck up, but you didn't introduce her until at least halfway into the movie.
Yeah.
I wish she'd been introduced much earlier because Colin Hanks was just so boringly there.
He
And
was there for everyone to shit on.
yeah, and while the final big action set piece, the let's blow the shit out of it in a water park, was a ton of fun, a lot of the other action scenes just didn't really pop for me. And that you got the one where Hutch walks out of the place, gets in his car, starts to drive off, and then backs up and goes in. It's cute and it's funny that you just kind of hear the chaos and see guys running out. But I'm in this movie to see him beat the shit out of these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, cute, fun. I don't care. I want to see him in there killing them folks.
And it's weird. We have grown accustomed to 2 hour movies, 2:15, 2:20, 2:30 in some instances. But we've had these two movies here back to back that are right at 90 minutes. And I think both of them probably left some good material out there.
Although I will say, RZA with a katana fighting some dude with a machete.
Pretty good.
Oh, that was great.
Pretty
Top
good.
notch, no notes. This one could have used 5 or 10 more minutes of expounding on Hutch and his son's relationship,
Hmm.
because that is supposed to be the story core of this. Hutch is concerned that his son is going to turn out like him, and the son's disenchantment with his father. We didn't get enough of that for it to really tug on my heartstrings as much as I feel like it could have.
The first one definitely had more of an edge. It had more depth to it. This leaned more into the corny, zany silliness. But it was interesting on, watching it the second time for details, whatever details those might be. In your head, where did you picture Plumberville to be?
South, mid south, southwest, maybe?
So on rewatch, in the commercial, they say something about being in the middle of the country. It's like, okay, interesting.
Right.
But the weird thing, and I don't know why they made this choice. This choice doesn't make any sense to me. All of the sheriff's deputies, right? Their uniforms,
Hmm.
they say Wisconsin.
Hmm.
And to me, visually, this is coded to be like Panhandle, Florida.
Yeah. Because my first instinct was Florida, but I know these movies weren't Florida and it was a road trip. So I was thinking Arkansas East. I mean, it had southern vibes to it.
Wisconsin.
Huh.
So that was one detail I noticed. The second, in the Mansell den at the end of the movie where they're watching the home videos and the pictures and slides and whatever, Darkman poster.
Yes, I did notice that.
Look, this is not confirmed anywhere, just speculation. This is the John Wick universe in my heart. So the John Wick universe is a universe in which Darkman was a movie. And I like that. I enjoy that.
You just saw that just that 2 times.
That's it.
Was that the only movie playing at Alamo Drafthouse, or was it the only one that worked with your time, or the only one that seemed at all interesting?
Only one that worked with the time.
Okay. I saw Americana.
Ooh, okay. How was that?
I enjoyed it. It continues the summer of Paul Walter Hauser.
Oh, Mike, isn't he having a time? Did you ever see World's Luckiest Man?
Still haven't. Is it streaming anywhere where I
It's
wouldn't have
got to
to
be
pay
somewhere.
for it? Because I know it's often like, oh, it's on Amazon where I have to pay for it, and I often am like, I will wait for it to be streaming somewhere where I don't have to pay for it, since I'm already paying for like six friggin' streaming services. Yeah, right now it is AMC Plus, Sunday, and Sundance Now. Rent for
It's worth a
5.90.
watch.
Yeah, rent for 5.99. At some point I might have to just suck it up and rent it for the 5.99. But yeah, it's a good little neo western, various factions vying for this Native American artifact and killing each other over it. Halsey, who I'm not terribly familiar with, very good performance.
People like his music.
Her. Halsey is at least definitely femme presenting.
Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong person here.
Yeah, Google it. Halsey is definitely. Oh, born in Edison, New Jersey, Halsey was. That's near where Dan and I grew up. But yeah, she was very good.
Oh, yes, I'm definitely thinking of a different person.
Okay. Okay, I was gonna say I don't remember ever hearing anything about Halsey. She uses both she, her, and they, them pronouns, but never used he, him pronouns. Her or their performance was sort of the crux of the story. Everyone's story sort of fed into her story. I also there was an appearance by the wonderful Native American actor Zahn McClarnon. I could not remember his last name, who has done I've seen him in a lot of really good stuff. He was in Bone Tomahawk and Fargo and Hawkeye slash Echo. He's a great actor, and I was really happy to see him having a really meaty role in this movie. But I had a good time with it. I also saw the remake of Witchboard, which was awful. Remake of an 80s horror cult movie. I knew it wasn't going to be good, but there's, fun bad and just sort of bad bad, and this was the latter. This
Oh,
was one of my least favorite things in horror movies. CGI blood. A lot of
um,
CGI blood and CGI fire.
uh,
And it really felt like somebody wrote a script that had some witchy elements in it. And somebody said to them, this kind of reminds me of this 80s movie Witchboard. And they went and they watched Witchboard and were like, oh, let me just take a couple of the really iconic scenes from Witchboard, homage them in here, and say it's a remake.
ta-da!
Yeah, that one is not worth it. This weekend, Coen Brothers, baby, Honey Don't.
Hey, same here. Got my ticket for tomorrow.
Very nice. Laura and I are going Friday night. And
And of course,
Hollywood,
this is the one Cohen brother.
yes, this is Ethan, I believe. I think Joel is. Yeah, this is Ethan. You can tell by what they've done recently separately what they each bring to the equation. Because Joel did a black and white version of Macbeth with his wife, Frances McDormand, and Denzel Washington. Ethan has done two quirky lesbian neo noirs.
This one has Charlie Day in it.
Charlie Day, and both of them have had Margaret Qualley, who I adore. So I'm very excited. That and one that yeah, this is gonna be my weekend of neo noirs because there's another neo noir coming out called Hollywood Grit that I just saw a trailer for and I was like, okay, I don't know any of these actors. I don't know anything else about it other than this little trailer, and it's Hollywood period piece PI in search of his disappeared daughter in Hollywood. Sounds like a good time. But I think that does it for tonight. Next week, wow, the reorganizing of everything has thrown me off. Next week, we're having a belated celebration of the 20th anniversary of Batman Begins, reading the movie adaptation and two of the stories collected in the trade along with it. And stay safe out there, folks. Gotham is not a place to be after dark.